Hey, Mark Wahlberg here. Check out Transformers Age of Extinction when it hits AMC theaters on June 27th. You're watching AMC Movie Talk.
Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chris Lee Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. The captain of our ship today has changed, and it's our production manager, Dennis Sen.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us to another new episode of AMC Movie Talk. As you can see, John's out for the day, but he'll be back next week. And I want to thank all the guys that we got to meet last night at the AMC Burbank right before the Transformers screening.
Woohoo! All right, we also have joining us AMC's Miri Jetikin.
Hey, guys. How you doing? What's going on here?
And we also have AMC's Christian Harloff.
Hey guys.
Where?
What's up, guys? Nice to see you. I know, I'm just messing around.
All right, guys, the anticipation is finally over. A release date of April 7th, 2017 has been set for Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim 2. Zach Penn is writing the screenplay, and while no actors have been confirmed to reprise their roles yet, del Toro did have something to say about what to expect. He stated the characters I love will return. Raleigh, Mako, Newt, Gottlieb, and who knows, maybe even Hannibal Chow. But we're taking them into a fresh territory that will display amazing sights and battles. The first film set the stage, and now we're ready to have a blast. We're happy to be bringing you more Jaegers and Kaijus, kicking each other's butts. Dennis, how do you feel about a Pacific Rim 2 finally setting a release date?
So here's the part where I want to swear a lot, but I'll just say, F yeah, it's finally happening. I actually never thought it was going to happen because after the opening weekend numbers, especially domestically, we thought, forget it. You know, it was great that we had this one. It was out of my mind. And then the overseas numbers came in and it was like a glimmer of hope. And then they just kept building and building. And then we kept hearing stuff like, oh, Guillermo del Toro's writing it, and everyone's just like, including myself, didn't want to get my hopes up too high, and everyone's like, no, no, no. And now it's finally here. And I'm glad that it's 2017. I'm glad that it's further out instead of something earlier, because that means he gets time to work on it. I'm glad he's doing it and not somebody else. I love that there's an animated series that hopefully will bring it. In terms of the actual returning characters, I go either way. I mean, I didn't watch Pacific Rim for the characters and the character development. Story was, not like exactly complex, but I'm fine with them returning. What about you, Christian?
Yeah, I think that, look, it's cool. I enjoyed watching it for exactly like you said. I wanted to see big alien monsters fight robots. That's what I got. When he said, oh, this person's coming back, I didn't even remember any of those names really for a lot of it. But the one thing, you're absolutely right with the international numbers. That's really what happens. It shows you how important the international numbers are. Mm-hmm. I think it's cool it's coming back. And also think that it's interesting because Paramount now is doing it. It's not Warner Brothers, because Legendary, who did the first movie, is now going over.
I think it's Universal.
Universal. Is it Universal?
Yeah.
Okay, Universal, which makes more sense, I guess, with...
Legendary Pictures now.
Right. Universal, and that also makes more sense. And maybe now you can tie that into the whole monster universe as well, too. We don't know what's going to happen there. But it's interesting. I'm not as enthused as you are, because I don't think that it's one of these movies to me that I can't wait until Pacific Rim 2 comes out. I'll be excited when it comes out, but I'm not chomping at the bit.
Okay. Mir?
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
You're excited for me, not for you.
Well, no, I think I love Guillermo del Toro, and I love the stamp that he puts on things. I also love the fact that he's going to be on board for the sequel, because we all know what he does with sequels. They tend to be grander and bigger, and I can't imagine how he's going to make this world bigger, but he's going to do it. But when I first heard the news, I thought of you, and I thought, oh, Dennis must be jumping around, and that made me smile. So I think it's cool.
They might do like a, what were they talking about? A hybrid of a Jaeger and a Kaiju or something like that. Cool. So hopefully, I loved Hellboy 2 much more than Hellboy 1. So if I love Pacific Rim, then the second one I'm hoping is even better. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Director Robert Orci has taken, it's Roberto Orci, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Roberto Orci has taken the reins over from J.J. Abrams to helm Star Trek III and has revealed some new details about the upcoming film. Orci said in Into Darkness, they set out finally where the original series started. The first two films, especially the 2009 Star Trek, was an origin story. It was about them coming together. So they weren't the characters they were in the original series. They were growing into them, and that continues on in the second movie. So in this movie, they are closer than they are to the original series characters that you have ever seen. They've set off on their 5-year mission, so their adventure is going to be in deep space. They are in deep space now, so let's see what's out there. Mary, what do you make of Orsi's comments?
I think it makes sense. I think it's a natural progression for where the reboot of the franchise is going. I think a lot of fans will hopefully be happy with this news because I know there was a lot of heat that came down on the second film particularly. I actually liked Into Darkness. I know a lot of people didn't. A lot of people had a lot of problems with it. I thought it was really fun. I think it kind of served its purpose. One of the cornerstones of the original series was to go where no man has gone before. So I love the fact that they're going to take the franchise now into that deep space, and I'm excited to see all the kinds of creatures and aliens that they come up with. He did make a joke in that same podcast about the Horta, which is like showing the original series Trekkies, that he knows his stuff. But I grew up on the original series, and I'd like to see how he's going to reimagine that world. He did say, though, that he was going to venture into new territory. So we'll see.
Kirsten?
It kind of has to venture into new territory because you have Star Wars back it's in front and center now.
Yeah.
So now Star Trek was all by itself in 2009. It's like, hey, you don't have really any Star Wars movies anymore. It's this brand new Star Trek, and the Star Wars fans came over, and all the Star Wars fans are going, that was fun, but now we got Star Wars again, and all the news. You didn't ever have news like this the way you get Star Wars news. Yeah. So when he's saying we're going to explore more what kind of worlds, it's going back to that old school kind of WCW, WWF thing again, to where you're going to have you're going to have Star Trek versus Star Wars, whether or not you want it or not want it. You can be fans of both for sure, but they're going to be competing against each other, and this makes sense. Yeah. More worlds. Let's get back to what the original series was all about, because that's what happened with Trekkies versus Star Wars fans, is that you had all this really rich universe that they have there, so they're going to explore it more. It makes sense, this statement.
Well, you make a great point about how Star Trek was filling that void of Star Wars because Star Wars wasn't there, and J.J. Abrams essentially made a Star Wars movie with the Star Trek films, which some fans, like you were talking about, originally didn't really care, or the original series didn't really care for it. And so they might have to go in a different direction. Yeah, with this news, I'm not exactly like super excited. I loved the Star Trek reboot and Into Darkness. I thought they were both a lot of fun, but story narrative wasn't exactly the thing that people were like watching these movies for. And so if he's talking about going back to the original series, I don't know, that's just kind of more of a blanket statement to appeal maybe to the fans, but I don't know, like,
I guess time will tell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is one of the other things about the original series that I thought was really interesting, they haven't really touched on in these new movies, is the social issues. Like, this was such a progressive show. The first interracial kiss was, between Uhura and Captain Kirk on the series. So it's kind of like, are they going to go there? I know Orsi has said, like, he's not going to just shoehorn in a gay character, for example, just to have it there. But I would kind of like to see it do that again, because that's one way it could differentiate itself from Star Wars, by being that.
If it makes sense, then sure, whatever. Like you said, I don't want to see them throw in anything there to make a statement. But I just think the biggest thing out of that whole statement was that they are going to be exploring new worlds, new universes, that they now can create their own planets and stuff to see, because you're going to have that movie that comes out in 2015, we hope, and they're going to have a lot of planets. So, hey, our planets are better than your planets. That's going to happen.
Can all the planets just be friends?
No, not in this universe.
But I think the fans that didn't like the last two movies, they are the ones who wanted that kind of social commentary that they're used to from the series. I'm actually more of a Next Generation fan than I am of the original series, so I guess maybe that's why this holds, less weight for me. All right, guys, so that's it for the main topics. Next, we're going to do Buy or Sell. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
Director Doug Liman is in talks to helm Victory, a remake of the 1981 film of the same name, with Warrior director Gavin O'Connor scripting. The film follows Allied prisoners of war who prepare for a soccer match against the German national team to be played in Nazi-occupied Paris. But while the game is being set up, the French resistance and British officers are making plans for the team's escape. Christian, buy or sell Liman tackling Victory?
Huge buy. I mean, one of the biggest buys I've given on this show for so many different reasons. One, let's talk about Doug Liman, what he just did with Edge of Tomorrow. Talk about somebody who is intense, on it. You'll follow it. I wasn't bored for a frame. In this town, and what we do here, it's what have you done for me lately? What he's done for me lately is give us a movie that's super underrated that's out there right now. Gavin O'Connor, Warrior, another underrated film.
Yeah.
And what about Miracle? The guy knows how to write a good sports movie. Combine that with also World War II era, my type of, I love that era to find out. And it was a Stallone film. It's one, by the way, the original. A lot of people haven't seen. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good film. I'd like to see them redo this, especially with all the interest in the World Cup now and the back and forth. Huge buy.
I buy it as well for the same reasons. Doug Liman, Edge of Tomorrow, not only underrated, it didn't do as well at the box office as we wanted to. It would have deserved to. I definitely think people should go see that. Gavin O'Connor, Warrior, fantastic film. Also, I'm a sucker, not just for war movies though, prison escape movies.
Prison
Yeah.
Escape movie.
So
yeah.
The Great Escape,
Great film.
Escape from Alcatraz,
Yeah.
even if you guys saw that first season of Prison Break.
No, I didn't see that
Yeah.
one.
Okay, like, I'm a sucker for those things, so I definitely buy it. Miri?
Yeah, I buy this as well enthusiastically. And one of the interesting things about the original too is that they used a lot of they used a lot of actual athletes, soccer players. Pele was in
That's
the
right,
original
that's
film.
right, yeah.
So it would be really cool to see them do that with this one too, to bring in some soccer talent. The USA-Portugal match was over 18 million viewers, which was the most watched soccer event in U.S. history.
Wow.
So now's the time to make a soccer movie. We're such a fan of sports movies in this country, but soccer movies typically haven't done well. We haven't had a lot of them. I think maybe this is a sign that the tide is turning. And again, to your point, World War II movie, but set with this backdrop of soccer, I think it's going to be great. I'm excited.
It's a great team because of, what you do, what Doug Liman brings as a director, and then you have Gavin O'Connor, who not only in his own right is a great director, but really knows how to do a sports movie.
Yeah.
So you have that intensity of the prison break, plus the matches are going to be.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I can't wait! Great team.
I don't
get
think
chills.
I don't think soccer has been as popular as it has been now.
No,
Agreed.
never.
Yeah.
Unprecedented.
All right, what's next?
Frank Darabont, best known for directing The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, is in negotiations to direct The Huntsman, a spin-off of the 2012 Snow White and the Huntsman. Chris Hemsworth as well as Charlize Theron are returning. Kristen Stewart is not expected to return at this time, and if she does, it's believed to be just a cameo. Dennis Byrosel, Darabont directing The Huntsman.
I'll buy it, even though I didn't care for Snow White and the Huntsman. I thought it was visually fantastic, but it was pretty boring. It actually took me several times to go through it. But Darabont, he's Oscar nominated, Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, Walking Dead. So, and typically he writes what he directs. So I'm interested in what he brings to this. Christian?
I'm buying it, and I buy it for the same reasons. The first one was whatever. Chris Hemsworth was the reason, again, bringing up that point that this guy is a movie star.
Yeah.
He was the best part of the film, but it's Darabont. That's why you buy this topic, because what he has done, Shawshank, obviously, a lot of people don't realize that he wrote a script for Indiana Jones 4 that Harrison Ford loved. Lucas poo-pooed it. Read it. It's online somewhere. It's incredible. The guy, when he's into a movie and when he knows and I think he wrote the first script for Godzilla, if I'm not mistaken, the first one. However, for the most recent one. However, I just want to see where this goes now. What are they going to do with the Huntsman? It's basically a fresh take on it, because how much do you know about the Huntsman except, hey, he saved her in the woods and.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I buy Darabont doing anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tentative buy for me for the same reason. I think anything Darabont touches, I'm going to see. I do think that the relationship between Charlize Theron's character and Chris Hemsworth's character is interesting. I think that, in terms of the human relationships in the first film, was the only relationship I really cared about. Charlize was formidable, and what a wonderful villain. And again, the VFX were beautiful. The costumes were beautiful, but it's going to be a Darabont take, so I'm curious to see it. It's a tentative buy. I'm not 100% in, but I'm in because of the reasons we've just highlighted. So.
Well, here's a little spoiler. The Queen dies in the first one.
Yeah,
now she's coming back.
But I think it's a prequel.
Really?
I think it's going to be.
Think so?
Before
Well,
the Huntsman met Snow
I think
White.
it's going to be the Huntsman and Charlize.
I don't know, because
if Snow White's not really in it that much.
But it's not about his event. It became, that movie was all about him. Even at the end of it, it was all about him. He goes off on his own adventures. You
but
can
if
follow
Charlize
him.
is in it.
Maybe Charlize comes back some magical way. Who
Oh,
knows? You
maybe.
can always throw magic in there. Magic makes more sense to me than you got to
Than a
watch his.
prequel?
Yeah, because his turn. It was about his turn. Unless he's
Yeah.
going to be this kind of like that type of guy. I don't want to see that.
All right, what's next?
What really happened was Maleficent put a spell on her, so she's just sleeping. So she'll totally be back, don't worry. All right, guys, Eddie Murphy is back for the next Beverly Hills Cop film, which has been slated to hit AMC theaters in March 2016. The Brett Ratner film is now scheduled to head back to Detroit, Michigan for production. Mary Buyer, Sal Murphy and team going back to Detroit.
I'm going to buy this because I like the fact that it's Eddie Murphy coming back. I like the fact that they're going back to Detroit because originally he was a fish out of water in Beverly Hills, and now they're kind of turning the tables, and he's going to Detroit now. So I'm going to buy that. I normally would sell a Brett Ratner movie just because I'm not a huge fan, but I think if he's going to do any movie, this is the genre that he's the most apt and able to do. I think buddy cop and that sort of thing. This is humor. That's something he does pretty well. So I'll buy it. I mean, who knows? It could be horrible, and it could be actually surprisingly good. So I'll give it a go.
I'll buy it as well. I don't hate Brett Ratner's work as much as other people, but I'm glad that they're shooting in Detroit. I mean, Detroit is kind of hurting financially, and so any money that kind of goes that way and builds up jobs, I think is great. I also like that they're actually, for once, shooting in the place that the movie actually takes place in. It's not Vancouver for this or Toronto for that or blah, blah, blah. It's actually Detroit in Detroit. But to your point about the fish out of water thing, I am a little concerned of that's kind of what the premise is of Beverly Hills Cop. Why we watch it. Here's a Detroit cop in Beverly Hills. How is it going to play a Detroit cop back in Detroit? Is that fish out of water
We'll see.
hook still going to be there? Christian?
Sell.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm selling it. Ratner scares me too much for this franchise. I love the first one. First one's even the second one. Those two. The first one's one of my favorite movies of all time. I wish they would have gotten Martin Brest back. If you're going to get everybody back, get Martin Brest. I know that these guys work together on Tower Heist, and that's why they're working together, and they have a good relationship. It just scares me because of what that tone was in the 80s, and if it's PG-13, then I'm definitely going to bail. I don't even know if I really want to see it. The rated R, the way that Eddie Murphy was so raw, like
No pun intended.
no pun intended, with his comedy back then, but he was able to play that here. So that movie got brutal at points. It had great humor with the banana in the tailpipe, but then it also it got brutal with Mike Tandino right in the first scene.
Yeah.
If he sticks to that tone, then I might come back and say, oops, I was wrong, but I just can't see Ratner pulling it off.
No.
I have hope. I'm with you.
Detroit, going back to Detroit, let's see how much they do there. 3 stunk.
All right, guys. So that's it for the buy and sell. We're on to our mailbag section. Chris Lee, what do we have?
Andy Prime Rhodes writes, hello AMC crew, I love the work and effort you all put into the production. Please keep up the good work. My question is about the franchise of the Transformers movie. Originally, Paramount was planning on doing not just Transformers 4, Age of Extinction, but also 5 and 6. I know there's been a bit of talk about number 5, but Michael Bay didn't even originally want to do the 4th, let alone more. Do you think he will come back, or do you think they will go with someone else? And if so, who would you like?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the actual movie itself. I'll save that for a later date or stuff on my channel. However, I think he will come back because this this movie is going to make a ton of money. This is one of those movies I call it that's critic-proof, where it's like it doesn't really matter what the critics say, that it's just going to make a ton of money. They're going to throw more money at Michael Bay, and it's not really a big spoiler. They leave it open for sequels. So I just think that Paramount is. They don't want to take a risk by bringing someone else in. I personally would love to see a Duncan Jones, a Neil Blomkamp, even a Doug Liman that we were talking about earlier take over this franchise. But
Duncan Jones is a great call.
Duncan Jones
I
is
would
good one.
love to see that.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, he's in Warcraft land anyway.
Yeah. So Miriam, what do you think of Michael Bay coming back?
I'm with you. I think it's just a money thing. I think this movie is probably going to make gobs of money, and I think this is a money-driven business. And I think Paramount would be silly not to do sequels if they're going to make money hand over fist. So I think it just boils down to that. Unfortunately, I think that's just how it goes.
Christian?
I won't talk about the movie because, like you said, my review is up on my channel as well. You want to know my thoughts, you see it there. But I would love for them to. I was a big Transformers fan as a kid. I loved the 1987 movie.
So did I.
It is still the best Transformers movie in my opinion.
And the show was great.
Yeah.
I watched the show after.
All that, the origin. What I want to see is a director that treats the story more, getting away from some of the comedy elements of it. I don't mind comedy when you have stuff like the Captain America and the Avengers of that nature, but when it's just over the top, sometimes it doesn't work for me. So I'd like to see someone approach it differently. I'd like to see someone like Matthew Vaughn maybe come in and do it. I think that would be a good choice. But I do think Michael Bay will come back. It's for the same reason. I don't think he so much cares about the franchise, everything. Just he's going after international markets. I think he doesn't care really what we think about it anymore. He knows he's going to, like, the movie in Japan's going to crush. It'll crush here, but it's going to crush in Japan.
Yeah, what's interesting is
China, excuse me.
The third movie actually made less domestically here, but internationally it made a ton more.
Right.
It crossed over $1 billion worldwide, and so I think the same thing's going to happen with this one. So, all right, Chrisley, what's next?
Chase Dishman writes, "Hey AMC movie crew, love the show. I recently read about the interview Gary Oldman did for Playboy, and he got a lot of cred for it. I was wondering if you think this is at all going to affect fans going to see Dawn of the Planet of the Apes at all. I've very much been looking forward to this and don't want to see it negatively impacted by something going on in the media." Stop reading Playboy, Chase.
He does it for the articles.
No, I don't think it's going to for a couple reasons. One, most people who are going to see Dawn of the Planet of the Apes are not going to see Gary Oldman. I love Gary Oldman. I think he's a fantastic actor. And I personally, part of the reason I want to see it is that he's in it. But most fans are going because of the apes. Same with the first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. James Franco is a big name, but most people saw it because of the franchise itself. And secondly, the comments that he made were not good, to put it bluntly, but it's not... he didn't say a lot of stuff. It was mostly that he was defending things that were said. And also, I feel like he went out and tried to make apologies for it. He wasn't caught on tape screaming and yelling all these things. I think he was trying to make a point, just he made it really poorly. I don't know. What do you think, Mary?
Yeah, I think people say stupid things all the time, and that doesn't excuse it. To your point, it's not right what he did or said. But I think he's a terrific actor. He's one of my favorites of all time. And I saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I can't talk about it yet, but I will say, the one thing I will say is that this in no way should impact people going to see this film, because the film is so much bigger than Gary Oldman and his character, and I can't talk about the film, which sucks. But I will say that if this is going to deter you at all, please don't let it, because this was a film that was made by hundreds of people who put their heart and soul into this film, from the VFX all the way through to the performances. It's a huge world, and the people that worked on this film have to feed their families too. So it's not all about one guy who happens to be in the movie. It's not like he's not the lead. He's not Caesar. He's not like, this isn't his story. So it would be a shame to not put your dollars towards a film that was well realized just because one guy said stupid stuff.
Christian?
Certainly didn't hurt Days of Futures Past.
No.
And that was a question that we had brought up. Well, if we thought it was going to. It didn't, because like you said, Miri, it's about the story. It's about what's going on. It's about the impact. Gary Oldman is an actor doing a job.
Yeah.
His character right there, from what he's doing, you're going there to see his character and part of an overall story. His comments on what he said in Playboy should not impact this movie. I don't think it will at all. I don't think most people won't even realize that it even happened for the most part. And what he said is a completely different subject. But as far as going into this movie, I don't think it hurt at all.
So on another related subject, I personally try and keep separate people's work from how they are as a person. We all work in this industry. We've met people before. I've met people who I thought were douchebag holes, but I still like their work. Yeah. And I've met people that are really nice, really genuine, but their work just isn't very good.
Right.
And you just got to make that distinction.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Separate the art from the artist.
Exactly.
As best you can.
I said it on the show yesterday. Like, I'm not, as a person, I'm not a fan of Shia LaBeouf at all. I won't say his name. I can't take him as a person. But however, there are some roles. The guy knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
Lawless, this movie that's coming out.
I love Lawless.
With Fury. He looks
and
great
even
in
The
it.
Company You Keep, which wasn't like the best movie ever, he was really
in small roles. Guide to recognizing your scenes. The guy can
Guide to
deliver.
Recognizing Saint is where I was turned into like a Shia fan in terms of his performance, not as a person.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. You have to separate it. Sometimes you can't, and sometimes you walk out, and if you just don't like a person, like Ashton Kutcher, and I can't remember what role. I think he's a terrible actor, but there was one role that he did, and I think it maybe Butterfly Effect or something else, and I walked out going, okay, you have to be, whether it be professional or open-minded, separate it. And
I actually like that movie.
Butterfly Effect?
Yeah. So.
Director's cut.
All right, guys, we're going to get to our Twitter questions. Chrisley, what do we have?
Cole wants to know, even though The Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't great, are there any actors you want to see play villains in the Sinister Six?
Christian, any thoughts on that?
Copley.
Sharlto Copley?
Sharlto Copley could be cool. I don't know who he would play, but I think that I thought he was the best part of Elysium, so I'd like to see him.
I mean, is it a dream scenario, or is it realistically who do we think will be cast? Because in a dream
Oh.
scenario, I would like to see Fassbender, because I just think he plays
Yeah.
villains so well, although he won't, because he's already tied to X-Men.
Magneto, yeah.
But
Yeah, I think it's more of a just if you could cast anybody you'd want.
if I could cast anybody I want, I would cast Fassbender. just
Wasn't
'cause
there
I
a
love him.
rumor about Malkovich as Vulture?
That was
For
a
a
while.
while?
That was for the Raimi versions.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was
okay.
for the Raimi version. He
That's
was
right.
he was cast. He was.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. Call me out on it if I'm wrong, but I thought he was cast as a role while that was all going down, like for the fourth one when they were coming up with the fourth
Okay.
movie, and then it all fell apart.
Okay. All right. You got another one over there?
I do. I want to see. I'm trying to think of what his name is. I want to see Dane DeHaan come back. I really liked
Yeah.
his character in
think he
Amazing
will.
Spider-Man 2, and I'd like to see more of him in that character. If we're talking about people from the first one. All right, let me grab another one. Robert DeFerro wants to know who you like better, Christopher Nolan or Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, that's
Sophie's
tough.
choice. Sophie's choice.
That's also tough because they're so different.
Yeah.
It's not like they have similar styles.
But if you could only have one
only
more
have
director
one?
for the rest of your life, which one would you take?
Okay, I'll start. I love them both. I think they're both fantastic. I'll see any movie that they do. But I'll have to go with Tarantino.
Yeah.
Because he brings, like, Nolan's great, does great movies, but Tarantino brings something different, you know? Like, when you see a movie, you're not quite sure what you're going to get. When you watch it, you're like, there's always something that surprises you.
Yeah.
And so I think even when he misses, there's something surprising about
I
it.
agree, but you also get that with Nolan too. You didn't know what was coming with Inception the first time you saw it, and you still don't know what's going on with Interstellar when you see it. But it's not the same way with the
such a hard
writing.
choice.
The writing with Tarantino is what makes him so incredible. That's why he gets nominated for
Yeah.
Oscars every time. He just
I
goes
would-
like this.
I would say Tarantino by a close margin, also because of that point of writing. I think he creates worlds where there's a little bit more of the kitchen sink. Like, you'll have humor, you'll have pain, you'll have fear, you'll have a bit of horror. Like, he manages to kind of bring in all these different elements into his characters and his stories where you're laughing, but you're also feeling sick to your stomach at the same time. And I feel like he does that really, really, really well. And I love that about Tarantino.
I also think Tarantino will probably get the edge for me because of experience. He's been around
Yeah, he's
as a
been around
director
a long
longer.
time.
And Nolan writes with his brother a lot, too. So Tarantino's doing it kind of all on his own. He's got these original ideas that he comes up with, and he's got a grand plan. And I can't remember sitting down at the movie. I think Jackie Brown's the one movie where when I watch it, I go, okay. The other ones I'm like a fanboy
Yeah.
about. So Tarantino by that much because I love Christopher Nolan. I hate doing it. Damn you, viewer.
That's a great question.
All right, Chrisley, you got another one?
Yep, Jamie Garcia wants to know, hey guys, my question is, what are your favorite martial arts films? Thanks.
Bloodsport.
I had to say it.
Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, I was going to say Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. Also, I like some of those ones that didn't come out here, like Once Upon a Time in China and stuff like that.
I'll go recent. The Raid 2 is one of the best martial arts films
Yeah.
I've seen.
I haven't
in a-
seen the second one.
Oh, you got to see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's everything. Raid 2 mixes a great like mafia story plus a great
Yeah.
martial arts story. Man, the more I think about it, Raid 2 is one of my favorite martial arts stories of all time. So good. See it.
So many.
Raid 2 has kind of that Infernal Affairs feel to it, in
does.
terms of the story.
Definitely.
And, yeah, the action. And the action I liked even better because in the first one was great, but they were kind of confined in one area, so
Yes.
they did
Yeah.
kind of one thing
Yeah.
really well the whole time. Raid 2, they change it up. There's more to it.
Well, I
Absolutely.
gotta leave here and go see it.
You have
Yeah.
to see it. It's
I
coming out on
haven't seen
Blu-ray.
it.
It
I
comes
know,
out Blu-ray
it's coming
soon.
out soon. That's
I would tell anybody watch that very last scene in the Raid 2. There's like a kitchen scene. It is literally like watching a great UFC fight. It is the best. It's one of the best fights I've ever seen.
It's almost though like the thing about the first Raid that's amazing is just when the choreography is
Yeah.
like that. It's like you're watching dance. It's like you're watching people just. It's like next level. It transcends martial arts. It becomes something bigger. you know?
Actually, I have to retract my Enter the Dragon. It's not Enter the Dragon. Return of the Dragon is the one that
Oh, yeah.
I love. It's the one where he fights Chuck Norris in the Coliseum. I love Enter the Dragon too, but Return of the Dragon.
I'm going to Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy. How about that one?
Ooh, Bruce Leroy.
That's right.
All right, Chrisley, we have another one.
Want to do one more? Yeah. Gabrielle Walsh says, asks, Star Wars speculation. What do you think will bear the name Skywalker for the next generation in Star Wars? Who do you think? Let me clarify. I can't read today.
Donald Gleason. Donald Gleason, I believe is how you pronounce it. I think he might get the Skywalker. He might be Luke's kid.
Okay.
It's a total speculation. I'm just.
Well, he's already cast, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's got the beard now. I think he the most problem. I mean, I don't think what's his face, Adam.
Driver.
Adam
No, is
Driver.
he villain? I think
That's what they say, but I mean, who
Yeah,
knows
who
what kind of
knows?
progression he's going to have? But I think Donald
Driver
Gleason.
should be villain because he's good. I don't know. I could see him being a villain more than Donald.
Yeah, I think Donald might be the Skywalker now.
Okay, let's do one more.
One more? Let me pull another one up, sorry. John Shespy says, which film do you think is more likely to be released within the next 5 years? Prometheus 2 or an Alien reboot remake?
Prometheus 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prometheus 2.
I just hope that if they do a Prometheus 2, that it's as gorgeous as the first one, but way more good.
Involved? Yeah.
Yeah, I
more good.
didn't hate the first Prometheus, but it could have been better. And
Looked stunning.
yeah, it was a
the
gorgeous
most
looking.
Yeah, I
gorgeous
hate it. I
film.
was just kind of let down by it more than anything else. I was
It
bored.
felt a bit cold and removed, and
Yeah.
I think that was the tone they were going for, but it was too much in that direction. There needed to be more of a connection to the characters for me.
I think Ridley Scott does do a lot of cold and removed.
He does. He does
type
it
of
great.
movies.
He does it
So-
well.
All right, guys. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. I'd like to thank
You throwing things over there?
Did.
the
Playing music.
I'd like to thank all the people that joined me at this table. First to my right, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Miri the Jedi.
And Christian?
Right here on YouTube, Schmoes Know, and on Twitter at Christian Harloff.
And our lovely host, Chris Lee. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Chris Lee and here on YouTube, The Movie Chick, 2Ks like me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on the YouTube channel ThinkHero Pro. And thanks for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to the AMC Movie Talk channel, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.